been doing it for 2 hours almost every time. Anywho, okay, so how do I do this again? Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to try to finish this part somehow. Been quite slow lately. This is how it is so far. It's not much progress. I'm trying to finish this before August, this whole bit, so I'm gonna have to work pretty hard from now on. And okay, just gonna tie my hair up. Oh yeah. Okay, can you pass me that, please? So I'm gonna be using the same set of paints as last time, which is the okay. So can you see? Am I doing it?
Yep.
Permanent Green Light from Matisse, and what is that? Hooker's Green from Winsor and Newton. Some of this Hooker's Green Hue from Golden, and then probably a bit of this Phthalo Green from Atelier Interactive, and then lastly, oh god, I gotta open up a new one, Cadmium Yellow Light in Atelier Interactive. It's from Chroma. Ay. Okay, I'm just going to squeeze paint. Oh, had a bit of a day today, having one of those pregnant fury days. Everything annoys me, everything is, excuse my language, fucking me off. Okay.
Yari Inspiration says the Wednesday therapy can start.
Therapy?
And while cooking.
Aw, I swear so much for therapy. Alright, so last time, oh man, where was I up to with this book? I was just, I think before Santiago and Englishman, I guess, swapped, like they were trying out their own ways. Trying out their ways. So instead of the Englishman with his books and Santiago with his watching the caravans in the desert and whatnot, they're gonna try it out and do we'll do the opposite. Is it the opposite? Is that what you say? Or well, do what the other person has been doing. So Santiago starts reading the Alchemist book. So finally, Alchemist. Before that, I think I'm gonna try to fix this bit here. I'm just not really happy with it. So bear with me. Okay, how will I do it? I think I want a bit more of the white. It's looking a little bit, how do you call it? A little bit gross. It's the best way I can say. Okay, so Santiago finally, well, the word alchemist finally starts appearing, and he starts reading the Englishman's Alchemist book, basically because he doesn't really get it. There's lots of codes and images that he's never seen, dragons and whatnot. And well, he kind of figures out for himself the most important text is these few lines inscribed on the surface of an emerald tablet. Hang on, where am I? Yeah, on an emerald tablet. So crap, I'm not doing this right. I'm just going to make, hopefully I'm not fucking this up. Oh, maybe. Yeah, so he goes to the Englishman. Oh, why all these so many long texts and whatnot when you can just, like, the most important part seems to be just on that emerald tablet. And the Englishman, this is the first question to the Englishman about the book. So he's like, well, you have to read all those geeky things so you can understand the few sentences that's written on the emerald tablet. So it's like, oh, okay. And then gets back into the book and he reads about the masterwork, which is process of metal purification. So you basically heat like a type of base metal for many years to which will then turn into it's how do I explain it? Turn into what's called soul of the world, which is a universal language. So it's to understand everything, all the language in the face of the earth or something like that. And that's what the Englishman has been looking for all his life. And with the soul of the world, there's two parts that comes with it, which is liquid and solid. And the liquid part is called elixir of life, which cures all things and keeps the alchemist young and pretty. And then the solid part is called philosopher's stone. I've never actually heard of philosopher's stone till Harry Potter. I thought it was just a Harry Potter title, but it actually exists. It's an alchemist word that, so it's a little piece of metal that turns any metal to gold. And I was thinking what I actually wanted. I probably want elixir of life that cures everything and keeps me young and pretty. Well, that's just like a side thought I had. Anywho, so he's done with the book. And I gotta fix this ugly painting. So he reads the book, finishes it, and then asks the Englishman, like, so like instead of doing all this reading, can't you just observe man and the omen to understand the language of the world, the universal language? And then it kind of like starts pissing the Englishman off, because he's kind of like, this Englishman reminds me of the comic book guy in The Simpsons. Like, he's all like a bit geeky and a bit hoity-toity, and he goes, no, alchemy is a serious discipline. Every step has to be followed exactly just like the masters. So I mean, fair enough. Santiago goes, I'm not really doing a good storytelling today.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I'm a bit scattered brain. I'm 6 months pregnant as of today. Was it or yesterday? I don't even know what day it is. Greg, is it today or yesterday? Yesterday. And I'm having one of those days I can't think, and everything annoys me. Just literally every inanimate object just did my head in today, so I'm not really good at storytelling today. Anyways, so hang on a second. So Santiago gives up. Okay, so alchemy kind of, in a way, it is sort of I guess like a similar to what Santiago has been doing. I mean, the main point behind alchemy. So Santiago gives up his wealth, all of his shapes, for his quest for to achieve his personal legend, which basically in a way of like it purifies himself, and he kind of wisens up during the time. And in alchemy, you boil up base metal and to reach purification, yada yada yada. But both of it sort of ends in more wealth. So Santiago did what he did, gave up his wealth to gain more wealth. Base metal turned to a philosopher's stone that turns everything, all metals, into gold. So the book is kind of like saying, I think, that material wealth and spiritual purity goes hand in hand. I think I kind of agree with that, because my main goal or dream right now is to well, it's been like I want to be a famous artist. And I have to do a lot more hard work, but that's what I want to be in my life. But if you become a famous artist, I guess wealth does come as well. And I do always say, don't chase for money, just work hard and money comes to you. So yeah, I guess I agree with that. Anyway, so it goes on, and Santiago starts talking to the Englishman about the Alchemist book and says, why do they have to make it so complicated? And the Englishman goes, well, so stupid people like you can't have the Philosopher's Stone. I mean, he didn't say it like that in the book, but what is said basically sounded like that. He just basically said that if anyone can understand and read it, then anyone can have the gold, and then the gold won't be valuable anymore. Boom. And then Santiago goes, when was the book written? And the Englishman says, oh, many centuries ago. Santiago basically says, bullshit, no printings back in those days. And by now, I think the Englishman's a bit fed up, and he thinks he's talking to a primitive person, stupid person. Well, like, I don't think he's stupid, but it's just, you know, when you talk to someone and they like start asking you stupid questions, and you just kind of, you know what, they're not even worth it for me to answer. So he just sort of does a little eye roll and said, instead of answering Santiago about the whole printing situation back in centuries and centuries ago, he says, you know what, I didn't learn anything jack shit from watching The Caravan, and all I got from doing that was just hearing that there's the talk of war is more frequently. I don't remember if I mentioned it, but in the last bit, the Caravan got a news from the Bedouins. I don't know if that's how you say it. The Desert Watchers, that there's a like a possible tribe war happening. They had to be careful. And it really freaked the English guy out, which is kind of funny when you compare him to the camel driver. I'm not sure if I'm up to that part yet, but no, I don't think I am, so I'll get there in a bit. So anyway, Santiago returns the book, and the Englishman is like, oh, so what did you learn? I think he just wanted to have a good old like chat about it. That desert ride must be pretty boring. So he asks, did you learn anything? And Santiago says, oh, I learned that all things are so simple that they can be written on a surface of an emerald. And then what a Englishman, so what about all the cool diagrams and cool pictures, that's diagram, cool instructions and codes and all that crap? And Santiago, it seems like they're just not on the same frequency. It's sort of like way I think Englishman is, like when I say he seems like, he reminds me of what did I say? The comic book man? Is that, well, I kinda like thought about it. He's real geeky, like I've said. Like it's basically like someone gives you these like thick books or suggests you watching Game of Thrones. I love Game of Thrones. I didn't read the book, but like someone who's really into it, because I remember when I was 25, I think that's when it started. Because it went on for a really long time. The Game of Thrones went on till I moved to Germany from when I was doing Kung Fu. And was it 25, 26? I can't remember. But man, all the boys, I was the only girl doing, did I just say I was doing Shaolin Kung Fu. Yeah, no, I said it started when I was 24, 5, and that's when I was doing Shaolin Kung Fu. So I did Shaolin Kung Fu for, oh god, how many years did I do that one? I did it for a long time. Maybe 5, 6 years? And I went up to like level 5, 6 with it, I think. Anyway, so it's looking a little bit better. I'm preferring this much better. So I remember that my Sifu, so that's my teacher, you call him Sifu, him and all the boys, I was the only girl in the class, all the boys really, like, they got into Game of Thrones, and every time the show came, like the season come out, they were like, oh, did you watch Game of Thrones, and yada yada yada. And back then I didn't really get into it because, well, first I was too busy, and the show goes on for, how long did Game of Thrones go for? Like an episode, like 3 hours or something?
No, like an hour for an episode.
An hour for episode? No, it's not. It's a lot longer than that. I remember it's a lot longer than that because that's the reason why I didn't really get into it in the beginning. Just didn't have time for it in the beginning. Yeah, it's someone basically who's like super duper like Game of Thrones geek saying, oh, you gotta watch Game of Thrones or read the book, and then you go excuse me, go ahead and do it, and then they're like, oh, how was it? And then you kind of go, you know what, maybe they could have made the series a little bit shorter, or I really enjoyed the naked girls and all the sex scenes and stuff, and that would really piss someone off. So I kind of get how like why the Englishman was peeved off, because well, it is something that he has been studying all his life, and he's a bit hoity-toity. So when Santiago said those things, instead of mentioning all the cool bits that he liked, like he just basically said in the book that Santiago is too stupid to appreciate it, which is pretty nasty. So he just ends up going like, you know what, just go back to watching The Caravan, like didn't teach me anything either. And Santiago, he's a lot nicer of a chap, and thinks to himself, you know what, like everyone does things differently, but both of us are searching for a personal legend, so I respect the dude for whatever he's doing. It's like, good on him. And then what happens? So they keep hearing more threat of the tribal war, which made the caravan travel day and night. It's very hard for the people and the animal, the camels, and in the night time they'd hear the camels groan and moan, and poor things. So things are getting a bit more hectic. One day, Santiago asks the camel driver, "Are you scared about the war?" And this is a complete different reaction from the Englishman, which I thought was quite interesting. That, well, kind of in a way, if you look at it in a very judgy way, like Englishman was a scholar, has studied all his life, and he's all hoity-toity about the things that he knows, and we have this camel driver who I mean like isn't like educated in the conventional way, but the level of wisdom they have completely different. Like it really shows that, I think the book goes on to like accentuate the fact that learning just within the book isn't going to open your eyes and horizons to learning what's in the world. Even in the first beginning bit, when Santiago first met Melchizedek in Tarifa, when he was reading a book, that was already mentioned there. Because the camel driver says, well, in the question, like, are you scared of the war happening or coming? And he said that he's not, because he's only interested in the present. And he says, if you can concentrate always on the present, you'll be a happier man. You can see there's life in the desert, there's stars in the heaven, and that the tribesmen fight because it's part of human nature. So he eats when he has to eat, sleeps when he has to sleep, and everything else afterwards would be decided by fate. Really wise. And while they're talking, Santiago goes, "Oh, why is the horizon so low on that side, end of that part of the desert, and it is looking a bit better. I'm gonna just and the camel driver says, because that's where the oasis is, as in their destination, Alfeo, I can't remember, Alfeo Oasis. Oh, by the way, I looked into that place, and you can go there and stay in a nice hotel on that oasis. That would be so cool. I'd love to do that. Anyways, Alfeum, that's right, Alfeum. That's the oasis. And Santiago says, oh, well, then why can't we go now? And he says, well, because we sleep now. So from there, Santiago is like, wisdom, be patient. So he learns well, Santiago. Like, his spiritual journey has been a lot faster than what I've ever done. I'm just gonna put a bit of glazing. It's a bit too light. What I've ever done, so I really appreciate that from the book. Alright, so next little chapter now moves on to finally the alchemist. So the alchemist who lives in this oasis. Okay, so it starts out with the alchemist seeing a lot of people coming to the oasis. I'm guessing that's the caravan people. There's hundreds of people and animals coming in, and yada yada yada. He goes, don't care, but because he's seen a lot of people come in and out of oasis, because he's apparently meant to be 200 years old. Apparently. Yep, so he says, yada yada yada. Omen told him that there is a man in the caravan that will become his apprentice, that he will teach his secrets, so that, I'm guessing, solve the world, the masterwork. And he says that it can only be taught by, like, mouth to mouth, not by book. And he says people become fascinated with pictures and words and winds up forgetting the language of the world. So here I think it's already hinting that Englishman is not going to be his apprentice, which made me quite happy because I don't like that guy. Englishman, out. Hang on a second. So I am quite okay with this bit, but I feel like something's not right here. I don't know how to fix it. Something not right there. Okay. Alright, so Santiago is the next little chapter we move on to, and Santiago finally arrives at the oasis, and he sees all this, like 50,000, it's said in the book, 50,000 date palms. Recently I went to the supermarket a month ago and I saw date fruits, not the dried ones, but actual fruit. I've never seen it before. I was like, oh, what the fuck is this? And I looked it up. It's dates, fruit dates. And I was like, whoa, I've never seen this in Australia. So I bought some and I tried it, and it's really nice. It tastes exactly like the dried date, but in a fruit form. Quite boring, I just said, but yeah, it was delicious. Anyways, so those date trees, there's 50,000 of them around the oasis. Nothing like he's seen in textbooks when he was studying and growing up. So I guess in there, like the fruit. Oh, what am I doing? Light to dark. The fruit, I guess it's representing like the fruit of labor. So he had a hard journey across the desert, and now all this, you know, like he's achieved what he was meant to do. Come to Al-Fayum Oasis. Okay, so the caravan leader gathers people around and he goes, so hand over all your guns if you've got some, because he says Oasis isn't a place of war. People don't come here to fight, so you shouldn't be armed for it, and they may not shelter armies or troops, so give us the guns. And the Englishman pulls out this chrome-plated revolver. He must be, like, his dad must have been pretty rich. Pretty lucky. Anyway, he pulls out a chrome-plated revolver. So Santiago goes, why do you have a gun? And the Englishman goes, what helps me trust in people. And that kind of made me go, maybe he was bullied growing up. Pretty sad. Sounds like a pretty sad guy. Santiago starts thinking about what Melchizedek said, that because in the beginning when Santiago started out this whole journey, things came pretty easy to him. Like he was able to sell the sheep really fast to get the money, to get a ticket to Tangier. And he's thinking, and then Melchizedek said, well, he's got the beginner's luck. And now he's thinking, well, maybe his beginner's luck has run out, because along the way his persistence and his courage been tested all the way along. And what is going on? What's that sound? Oh, it's TV just happened. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, but he learned that he learned patience through it. He said that if he pushed impulsively, he'd fail to see the signs and omens left by God along the path. I mean, yeah, guess it's easy to get impatient, especially when you're hitting a wall, and that's happened to me a lot since since moving away from Australia. I've hit a lot of walls, and even before when I wasn't well with my mental disorders. So I don't have them now, but I spoke about it last time. That sometimes you do get fed up, and you get really impatient, and make quite hasty decisions. And impatience also lead to how do you say it? All the other negative feelings that comes with it, like greed and resentment. It's very easy to lose that core of why you're doing what you're doing. Maybe as an example, so I think, well, I never got scammed, which is very lucky, but I think it's because I can sort of see those things through. I've heard that it happens to emerging artists. I mean, like artists starting out a lot. I've had a friend who told me that she got promised an exhibition in New York, so she spent a lot of money to send all her stuff over, and like nothing really came of it. She didn't even get her stuff back properly. Like, I've never done that, but you do get a lot of emails. I get a lot. I think everyone does when you're on some sort of art platform. You get emails like, oh, like such and such gallery from New York and such gallery from Rome. You should exhibit with us. Have had few of that, but every time I've looked into it, like my gut feeling was like, nah, this is just, they don't give a shit about you or your art. They just want to make money, which is most of the time true. And I've had this specific one, I remember, and I was feeling quite frustrated with obviously things not really planning out properly in the art area when I first came to Europe. And this guy, he had a gallery in Rome, and he's like, oh, you should I think at first I contacted in email, and then Instagram. So, you know, like we have a beautiful gallery in central Rome and all the yada yada yada, and should exhibit with us. I looked into it, and there was that it did look, I mean, they are galleries, but it's just, anyways. So, I mean, it didn't look terrible. So, and I replied and asked a bit more questions, saying, you know what, give me a bit more information, because not all of them are scammy. It's just some of them. I just wanted to see what it was about, and then I ended up having a chat with the guy, and he sent over the document, and I think it's because I've been doing this for a while. You can see a bullshit from miles away with these things. Like, you can see, like, there's information, but they're not really an information. And the things he was saying wasn't about, like, how much, I mean, like, there is a cost written there, but, like, what he does to promote it, or what it is actually about. And he just basically, like, all he was saying was, it's in the central beautiful location. I'm like, you know, I don't give a fuck about your location. I want to hear, like, give me real information, give me the logistics, and like give me the terms and agreements, like what are you gonna do with it, and like how big is your email list, and it, like, you know, rule of thumb is if you get those emails, most of the times, like, I'd say 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 that they're not trustworthy, which is unfortunate. And if you ask for questions and information, and all you get is like beautiful location and central blah 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 bullshit, then just forget about it. So I just stopped replying back, and I just went like not doing that. And then he started chasing like, what's going on, hello, and I just ignored it. And then I searched his name, because he was doing a lot of bullshit as well. He's like, and then we do exhibition in New York and here and there and blah 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 blah. Searched his name, and fortunately these days, like, thanks to technology and Google, there's all this site about the scammy sites and scammy business people, and his name popped up in one of them, and there were a lot of complaints about how he dealt with their art and like their experience with it all. And yeah, it was crap. So I was glad that I didn't do that, but yeah, I mean, it's sometimes going slow and keeping your head straight is most important. When as soon as you start getting impatient and frustrated with how fast or slow things are going, then it's really easy to lose that sort of sight on things, I reckon. Yeah, anyways, so yeah, talked about beginner's luck, and then yeah, so they get put in these tents apparently in Oasis. Like, if stuff like that happens, like, well, basically they're like, those caravan people now become refugees because they can't move or do anything until the war is over. So there's the caravan leaders that they're gonna have to stay here till everything's over. And they said the rule of the Oasis is that you give room to people like them, so the locals have to accommodate them. So they end up staying in these tents. Next day, the Englishman comes over to Santiago to ask him for help to find the alchemist, because he's tried, but he didn't have any luck. He just wants to use Santiago for his Arabic abilities. Really annoying guy, this guy. Anyways, so they were looking for the alchemist and they didn't have any luck all day, so they end up at this well and start asking people if they know the alchemist. And with the first lady they speak to, I'll just do this bit. Speak to is this lady in all black, and she's like, no, I don't know shit, don't know anything about this alchemist, but by the way, you better not talk to a woman in black, because that means we're married, and this is, you just gonna have to follow that. It's the tradition. And so they don't have any looks, they keep asking people. Let me just concentrate on this bit. Whoa. Yep, they keep asking people, and they're not having any luck. No one knows what alchemist, who he is, what it is. So Santiago says something, you know what, before I met you I never even heard of this alchemy crap. And then the Englishman has an idea. It's like, aha, maybe, you know what, these people people don't know he's called Alchemist, or maybe I might ask in a different manner. So he starts to ask people, do you know where this guy can find who cures all illness? This one is like one of the old like fella that comes by, and the guy goes, oh, only Allah can cure all illness. I think what you're looking for is a witch doctor. And says, like, forget about it, because the guy is powerful, and not even the tribal chieftains are able to see him whenever they want, only when he consents. So you two just better get going after the war's over and give up your search. Yeah. Then after that, a lady came over to the well, and she wasn't wearing black. Immediately, Santiago falls in love with him. Love with her. And he goes up, it's like, oh, what's your name, darling? And she goes, oh, it's Fatima. Fatima apparently is a Muslim name it means a prophet's daughter. I think that meaning is quite significant, prophet's daughter. And Santiago is just trying to get over his head on, like, the whole falling in love bit when the Englishman prods him. Like, who prods? Don't fucking touch me. Like, don't fucking prod me, like, when you're asking for help, right? Are you listening?
No.
Prodding you? No. It's okay. Yeah. So that's so rude. Anyway, so he's prods him for his question, and Fatima apparently knows the alchemist and points to the south and says that this alchemist communicates with genies of the desert. Sounds really magical, like spirits of the genies are spirits of good and evil. I've never really heard it that way, but yeah. Anyways, so next day, Santiago finds the Englishman who apparently have met this alchemist, and he explains that he was told what he asked for philosopher's stone, like how, where, what, who, and the alchemist just says, well, you need to turn base metal, he says, mercury into philosopher's stone. And the dude goes, so how do you do that? And the alchemist goes, why don't you try? So Santiago hears this and he feels sorry for the guy. It's like, oh, he came all the way and that's the answer he got. But the alchemist, the Englishman's like, oh, he doesn't really. He's like, you know what, I'm gonna try. That's what I was told, so I'm gonna try to do that. So he walks away. And so this is at the well next day again, and Santiago's been waiting for Fatima. Fatima arrives to the well for her water, and Santiago proposes, says, I love you, be my wife. And I'm thinking, that's really fucking creepy. I mean, it's a book, but that was real life. That he's a bit of a reputation like that. I remember when the book first started, he fell in love with this other chick, some merchant's daughter in Tarifa, and he was obsessing over this girl. A little bit too obsessive, I thought. And then, within a year, meets another girl. Next day goes, marry me. Wow. If he was my friend, I'd be like, dude, like, don't. Creepy. Don't do that. Anyways, and she gets all like, what? And drops a water bucket. It makes me laugh. I don't do well with cheesy stuff. Like my toes and fingers curl up when I see like big cheese fest. So I sort of had to skip all this lovey-dovey crap. I mean, I read it. Usually, like for this session, so I can remember what I'm talking about, I try to read it 2-3 times before Wednesday comes, which I think is pretty stupid because no one told me that I have to do that. But it seems like I can't just do things half-assed, and it's wasted a lot of time when I gotta finish this painting before August. Yeah, so he goes, I'm going to wait here at the well for you every single day. Well, until she, I guess, likes him as well. And then he does that, waits for her every day, and then when she comes, he tells her about all his adventures and stuff. Which is all great. And then I was quite surprised, but at the end she falls in love with him as well. Oh god. And I would like to say it's a lovely book, but if she was my sister or someone that I knew, I'd be like, honey, don't. Like, you don't even know this guy. But anyways, look, it's a book. I can't be too critical of that. So yep, she falls in love with him and all the lovey-dovey stuff happens, and no kissy, just like, you came for me, like, I can't even say it without feeling icky. What she ends up basically saying, because he told her about why he's there, the treasure and stuff, so she says, you should go find your treasure and I can wait, because that's what Desert Woman does, and I'm like awesome Desert Woman and I'm proud to do that, and that she'll be waiting. So Santiago kind of goes away a little sad, but good on her. She knows how to work it. This love at first sight thing, I know I'm not into cheesy stuff, but it has happened to me. I wouldn't call it love at first sight. It wasn't. I mean, it happened with my husband. It's not like it's not love at first sight. It's more like I've always had really good intuition about things, and that could be another story I could tell in future. I have a story where I got exorcised last year, and I've seen ghosts and whatnot, and I used to, like, I don't do it anymore, but I used to be able to, like, predict things, and just very, very highly intuitive person, I guess. Anywho, so when I first met my husband, I remember he sat down, and I looked at him, and I just remember going, oh fuck, not like oh, like more like oh fuck. I mean, he was really, really handsome. He's still really handsome, but it wasn't because he was handsome. As soon as I saw his face, I just knew like I was gonna end up with him for the rest of my life. And it wasn't like yay. It was more like oh fuck, because I just sort of gotten out of this horrendous relationship and I wasn't ready to settle down, and I got thrown this look, you're settled down a guy within sort of like a month of being single, and I really wanted to. I was. Oh, 씨발 깜짝이야. You scared me. Oh, sorry. Oh, God. I was getting into. Were you listening to me? I was getting into the story, and my husband just spoke to me, and it frightened the bejesus out of me. Like I'm very jumpy. So yeah, and then I lost my track with it. Yeah, I just knew I was gonna end up with him, basically, and I wasn't really ready for it because of the relationship that I just had with this fuckwit that went on for 2.5 years, and I wanted to kind of, like play the field and see other people, and then he came along and I just went, oh fuck. I think, yeah, long story short, what is this? 8 years later, bam, pregnant. Anyways, so Fatima tells Santiago to go fulfill his personal legend and that she will wait. That's a good tactic of pull and push, I reckon. There's a saying in Korea, pull and push, you gotta pull and push. If she was just like, no, you can't go, you have to stay, I want to marry you, then it might have been a bit of a put off. But she's like, no, you go, I'm cool, I'm all like independent and sassy, I can wait. I think that's pretty hot. So Santiago goes, just going to put a bit of a dark shading around this area and maybe here, see how that looks. So Santiago sort of goes away a little bit sad and disappointed, and then finds an Englishman he's set up a lab in front of the tent that he's staying. Good on him. And then Santiago wanders off because he feels like, oh, I need to clear my head and walk around the desert for a bit. Wanders around thinking for a while, and he's, being all like, no, you know what, I'm really grateful that I'm falling in love. Like, things make more sense and I feel more wiser when you're falling in love. And I reckon this is only like, how many days has it been? Like, he's good on him. Do things make more sense when you're falling in love? And do you become more wiser? I think so. Before I met my husband, because of the way I grew up, I didn't know what love was. I didn't know how to love, and I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I learned a lot by being with him. So I guess, like, in a way like that, you do. From my perspective. And then, so he's sort of zonking out, looking at the sky, and he sees these couple of hawks attacking each other, and then sees the vision of an army approaching, which freaks me out. Freaks the fuck out. I kind of like looked into that, the whole hawk thing, because I found it interesting, because my paintings are all about symbolisms, and I use a lot of animal symbolism. So I kind of looked into that, and then it said that one of the I don't know, some like spark book or symbolism part of Alchemist, that hawks are prey, they only attack smaller birds. So it's very unusual them attacking their own kind, which I think suggests war. Yeah, it's just like the army is approaching Oasis because like mentioned in the, what did I mention in some part of the beginning that no, maybe I didn't mention, no, the caravan leader, that Oasis isn't a place of war, so people don't attack Oasis, but if there's an army approaching, so we'll you know. Anyways, so Santiago freaks the fuck out, goes and tells the camel driver about his vision, and the camel driver talks to him about the seers, I think. It's they predict future in the book, so I think the seers are meant to be psychics or something along the line. And there's a part that I kind of found interesting, so I'm gonna do the white bit. White here, like that. Yeah, the seer says that God only reveals the future. It's what did it say? It's the future that was written. So, God only reveals future. It's only it's a future that was written. So it's right. So God writes the future, and the only reason, if you do get to see a vision or something, that it's shown to you because it's written, so it can be altered. I don't know if that makes sense. So I think it means that Santiago, seeing the armies approaching the Oasis, that fate can be changed. It's a fate that can be changed, and that it was the vision was shown to Santiago, and so the camel driver urges Santiago to go talk to the tribal chieftains about the vision he saw, and Santiago is like, oh no, they're just gonna think I'm this stupid crazy person, I'm not gonna do that. And camel driver assures him that that won't be the case, because in the desert they believe, like men of the desert are used to dealing with omens, is what he said, so that they will listen to Santiago. So off he goes to see the chieftains. That's as far as I've read. I don't have much to go. I'm really hoping to finish this as quick as possible. Is it not next week? When are we going to Frankfurt?
In like 3 weeks.
Oh, crap. Okay, I guess I'll be finished before then. I was gonna say, I'll be in Frankfurt such and such time, so I won't be able to join next week, but I don't have any excuse. I've done this as more like a self-made challenge, and not quite sure what good it will bring me from this experience, but I'm sure something would, right? Okay, so I'm quite now, I think I'm quite happy with what I've done on this leaf, and I was going to do a short video today because we are setting the baby room up. Well, she's going to be, it's a she's going to be staying with us when she's born, so we've got a bed set up, but I kept freaking out that, oh, what if she kind of like, you know, when they're 6 to 9 months old, it can be quite like they make like random jiggly movements and they try to stand and stuff. And we've got this bed that has a barrier, but it's not high, and I kind of started freaking out today. Oh, what if she like does the Haejin and falls backwards and hits her head? When I say does the Haejin, like, I've always been a real tomboy growing up, and just, you know, one of those people that just moves recklessly. And it's not just me, I think it's in the family as well. Like, I can't fucking, like, I don't drink anymore, but when I used to, I remember I thought I was bad, and I had my little sister over and gave her a glass of red wine, and she's sitting there, her arms flailing like a crazy little person, and I'm just like, oh my god, this must be how Greg feels all the time. Greg's my husband, because he's always like trying to pull away glasses and cups away from me and say, oh careful, and he says he feels really nervous around me. So if my daughter is anything like me, that girl is going to fall, bang her head sooner or later. And I remember the story my mum told me, when I was a baby, parents didn't have privileges of Google and all that education that we get, and unfortunately my mum lost both her parents when she was in high school, so she didn't really have anyone sort of helping her or teaching her like how to keep a baby safe. So and in Korea, back in my days, I sound really old when I say back in my days, but I am not young. Back in my days, they didn't have cots or cribs or whatever. People mostly sort of slept on the ground, and I remember my sister, when she was an infant, slept on the ground. I think she slept on the ground because my mum learned her lessons from me, because my mum put me on this adult bed, and she put me right at the end where the walls are, so I wouldn't fall and crack my head open. And she said she'd hear, and it happened more than a few times, she put me at the edge, like the end corner, and then she'd hear a thud, so she'd rush into the bedroom, and she'd her baby's gone. She's like, oh my god, where's my baby, where the fuck is my baby? And then she'd hear this sound, so she'd look down under the bed, and there I'd be under the bed, and not just under the bed. So basically what happened was I would roll and roll off this adult size bed, and then roll back into the inside of it. So I'd basically be in the I was a crazy baby, so I fell, thought, and rolled back. So she'd find me still sleeping after falling at the edge of the bed. And that happened more than a few times. So I remember it happened as I was growing up, so I kept falling off the bed even when I was old enough to remember. I can still remember falling off and like hitting my face flat. I rolled around a lot. I'm not a like my husband sleeps like a corpse, sleeps like a Tutankhamun, like really like with his hand on his like folded nicely on his chest and just nicely, whereas I kind of like roll about and a bit calmer now, but I used to throw things and just a crazy person to sleep next to. I remember I had a boyfriend when I was in uni. I think it was when I was in uni, and I remember him saying that sleeping next to me. I'm like a sleeping. No, I'm like sleeping next to me. No, he said sleeping me is like an hippopotamus having an epileptic fit. I don't know why he said hippopotamus, and I was thinking, well, that's really rude because I was skinny. I was a real skinny girl. I don't know why he said hippopotamus. What a cunt. Now that I think about it. Yeah, so I started worrying about my daughter possibly doing something stupid like me and then falling off the bed and whatever. So we changed the whole bed around, and then I'm into feng shui, so I was like, I don't think this is good feng shui, and then we moved everything back again. And now I've got the bed and the mattress and all the bed frames just sitting outside the bedroom, so we've gotta go fix that. So I think I'm gonna stop right now. I still haven't mastered the skill of painting as fast as I can when I'm not talking, but maybe that's a skill I can get from doing these video challenge. Alright, so if anyone's listened or will listen, thanks for sticking around, and guess I'll be back on next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Bye.